Hello, everybody, and welcome to the March issue of the Flatcar Office Hours. In the office hours, we provide room for our community to chat with us, to raise concerns, or to share success stories. And we also do our release planning later in the call. We also have a few Flatcar news in this call as well. So I'm going to share the agenda really quick. If you want to put an item on the agenda, then you will find the current agenda in the discussion section of the Flatcar repo. So what you do is you just go to discussions, and then you check out, well, the meeting that you want to see the agendas of Flatcar office hours, and there should be one or two discussions open, one for the past meeting if I forgot to close it, and one for the upcoming meeting. And then just click it there, and then you can add a comment or ping us, and we'll add your item to the agenda. So this is how this works. All right, today, news and happenings in and around Flatcar. It's not happening, it didn't happen that much compared to the latest news in the DevSync in February. So we have an upstream system patch merged on mutable sysex overlays, and we're going to ship it with the next release. Sayan, Kai, or Dongsu, depending on who do the release announcements later in this call. We'll have more on that. We have KubeCon coming up, and right before KubeCon, there's Rejects, which is co-sponsored by Microsoft, and which basically recycles talks that were rejected at KubeCon. It's a very exciting conference as well. For both conferences, folks from Flatcar will be present. So if you see anyone running around with a Flatcar t-shirt, share them up, might be one of us. And as I said, we're preparing a new alpha release of System D255. More on that later. All right, before we go ahead, let's say hi to the other people on the call. Simon, you've been around a number of times, but you're not yet the regular. So if you want to reintroduce yourself, that would be awesome.
Sure. My name is Simon. I work for a neural machine translation company called DeepL, and I'm on the infrastructure team where we run on-prem Kubernetes clusters. And I'm currently working on a project internally where we want to migrate our nodes to Flatcar. Yep.
Awesome. Ed?
I'm Ed Vilmedi from Equinix. Two affiliations with Flatcar. One, Equinix provides a bunch of infrastructure that the Flatcar builds run on. So we get to see it firsthand, first time. And also we run Flatcar in production. So I get to occasionally route a question from the team back to this group or whoever to get looked at. So very happy to see very happy, looking forward to seeing people in Paris. I will be in Paris for both Rejects and for KubeCon, and I'm volunteering to tear down at Rejects, so I'll be there till the bitter end.
Nice. Oh, looking forward. T. Kurt, you're a new person. If you want to introduce yourself, no push, but if you like, there's your chance.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, I just, to be honest, I'm completely new to Flatcar. I just joined on Matrix and saw the office hours and thought it would be interesting to just hear. I'm currently investigating like platforms, looking into NixOS, and also found Flatcar. And yeah, I thought I'd just join and see.
Awesome, perfect. This is the right forum to actually bubble up interactive questions. So we have this once in a month. The other meeting 2 weeks from now on a Wednesday is more developer-centered, and we distribute tasks and track progress, so to speak. But if you have anything, if you want to share any of the experiences, if you have any general questions, this is the right forum. Or if you need like quicker answers, obviously Metrics is. Like, we're very responsive on Metrics. If there's an actual issue that you need to track, there's always the issue tracker as well.
Thanks.
Cool. Simon, any news from your end?
Yeah, so we have now migrated the workload plane of one of our clusters to Flatcar almost entirely, and that's been going well so far. So very excited about that. We also have a fair number of NVIDIA DGX systems. That's kind of a high-end system for AI workloads, and we've been doing some testing with Flatcar on those systems. And unfortunately, as you might imagine, the NVIDIA support for Flatcar is not quite as comprehensive as it is for some other distros. But we managed to get all the drivers running, and the performance was comparable to the DGX OS, which is kind of NVIDIA's Ubuntu variant.
Awesome.
So, yeah, going well. And also I should say I've been working on a PR to get disk encryption merged, and Kai has been super helpful with that. So looking forward to hopefully getting that merged soon.
Awesome. If you have any progress, if you want to work on any PR or infrastructure stuff for NVIDIA, I know for a fact that an occasional Flatcar maintainer, he's like on and off, but he's part of the core maintainers, Jeremy Piotrowski, he's been looking into an NVIDIA SysX. So if you folks want to chat, there might be some synergy there that you might be able to explore.
Yeah, great. Thank you for letting me know. I'll note down the name.
Danielle?
Yeah, I was curious to ask Simon if, like, you compared, you did benchmarking, like, what did you see there?
Yeah, so for AI workloads, there are some commonly used benchmarks, in particular where you run all the GPUs in the same node at the same time. And the way most AI workloads these days work is that they shuffle around parameters between the GPUs very quickly. So a crucial part is to get the interconnect to work very quickly, and that's kind of measured with these workloads. So they are called nickel or reduce, is kind of the standard benchmark. So that's one we have run, and we actually measured exactly the same performance for both DGX OS and Flatcar. And that was, I should say, using the NVIDIA Kubernetes operator to compile and load kernels. To compile and load the drivers. So it basically spins up a container and then compiles the GPU driver against the kernel on that host. And then it's a privileged container, so it can load the kernel modules it has compiled, and the user space part of the driver runs in the container. So yeah, that's what we used. There is a very old Flatcar driver container version in the official repository, but we needed to do some patching to make it work for the up-to-date version. So we'll maybe try to get it merged upstream. But yeah, overall, I would say it was not too much work, and the result was very good. So pleased with that.
And if you get it upstream, we could do also like a shared post, a blog post about it.
Sounds good. Yeah, in particular, if we actually start migrating maybe parts of our DGX cluster, then that would be something. I mean, I probably have to check internally with other people whether we are willing to do that, but I'd love to, yeah.
And are you also using this NVIDIA container toolkit or not?
Yes, we are.
Okay, because there's one pull request currently in draft mode that Jeremy is working on. We have this as a kind of SysX that you that eventually we will distribute as a release artifact, and then you can kind of enable it, and it would auto update together with the OS. And ideally, the end goal would be to have the driver as well available in such a kind of extension, similar to how the OEM extension works in Flatcar now.
Okay, I see. And the advantage would be then you would get updates together with the Flatcar updates, right? Rather than having the NVIDIA GPU operator, which you need to configure to make the update at the right time for the right node.
And I think the compilation step would also then, of course, go away. So
yeah, Yeah, no, that sounds great. It is a little bit of a concern because it also does a lot of downloading and compilation. And if we think about disaster recovery scenarios where hundreds of these nodes come up at the same time and our customers are waiting for us to serve traffic again, this can really make a difference. So yeah, very excited.
Awesome. Thanks for the update. It's great seeing that falling into place. That's amazing. All right. Since Ed joined, I will use the opportunity once again to mention like all the good things that Equinix Metal does for the Flatcar project. They're not just sponsoring some of our build stuff, as Ed mentioned. They're basically keeping the project infrastructure alive. So it's building its CI stuff that we do, like our full distro build and distro tests for pull requests on the distro repo, and it's the image servers and the cache servers for global distributions. This is all bare metal stuff from Equinix from Equinix Metal, and we have just great experience with those folks. Ed, you want to say something?
Yeah, thanks. We're really happy to support this, in part because I see Flatcar as one of the operating systems out there that's really advancing the state of the technology in the world. We had a long history going back to the old CoreOS of having relationships with that team and that project. So it's very, very satisfying to see that continue forward as Flatcar. And then, as I said before, we do use Flatcar internally in production. So the very, very selfish reason of we want to see it all work because we depend on it every day. So that's a good reason to contribute. If anyone else has spare infrastructure resources handy and also has a reason to contribute, I'd be happy to tell you about the experience we've had with that and share any notes. I am eager to, as Simon mentioned, the NVIDIA DGX stuff. There is some sort of Equinix NVIDIA effort going on, which I do not fully understand and which I hope to get spun up on more at KubeCon, at least a little bit. I would love to see a story, right? Whether I know how to do it myself or not. I'd love to see a complete story that said, oh yes, these machines, we know how to make them sing because we have a lot of experience with that. So that's a hope. I have no promises yet, but very much an interest on that front. And thanks, Simon, for filling in on your experience there.
Awesome. I sense some like far down the road, maybe some potential overlap and synergy there, because with Equinix we also have a great experience of. So they have an API where you deploy bare metal servers within seconds or minutes, and if you need a dev resource that maybe in the future has a good GPU that you want to test stuff on, even if you run your production stuff in your own data centers for data security reasons, just developing and testing on Equinix Metal is a great experience as well. So maybe down the road, you folks find some synergy as well.
Keep that in mind.
And I'm happy. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, just say I'll keep that in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone wants to try things out, I'll construct a coupon that will give you favorable initial experimenting time to try things out. Let me get that for the next call.
And there are past examples of this kind of collaboration, right? The confidential container CNCF project comes to mind. Like they developed some of their crypto stuff on Equinix Metal hardware because they had access to the hardware, right? So that was, I think that was very beneficial for those folks as well.
Thanks, Tilo.
All right. Anything else from Flatcar out there, from Flatcar users that you folks wanna chat about? Cool. Then I'll ping Mathieu real quick because he made a great effort joining. even though he wasn't sure he could, because Mathieu has a container Linux talk at KubeCon. Mathieu, you want to give us some details?
Yeah, very quickly. Hi, everyone. So in Paris next week during the KubeCon, I will give a talk with Timothée from Red Hat, and we will talk about Container OS and the legacy of CoreOS with some examples using Flatcar and Fedora CoreOS Linux distro. So if you're around and you want to talk about Container OS, feel free to ping us. And I'll be here with Thilo and Daniel, as Thilo already mentioned.
Awesome. Then Danielle, I guess you're the next in the line with KubeCon talks.
Yeah, so I would be in a panel and in a talk. So on Thursday, I would be part of the tag runtime talk. So we have a shared talk, 5 people, just explaining on what the tag runtime does. And one of the special purpose groups under the tag is operating system. So I'll be also part of the panel there. And that would just like talk specifically, it would be an open discussion about like, from what is a special purpose operating system to what do you think we should collaborate on and kind of define the purpose of this group together. So it's like anyone that is passionate about this kind of technologies, I think it's a good place to be. And there would be a special for the tag runtime. There is definitely heavy focus on AI. So Simon, maybe it's interesting for you.
Awesome. Yeah, really looking forward to that. Last item on the Flatcar news is the upcoming Systemd 255 update with the mutability patch added. So Kai can probably chat a bit about what that means for SysX on Flatcar and the additional options that you get on Flatcar with mutability added. And then I'll give over to Sayan for the release timeline.
Yeah, so currently we are preparing the Systemd 255 update. So Adrian is working on that. And once we have that, we can also add this patch that is in Systemd main currently. And that allows to have a mutable overlay for Systemd SysX and Systemd Convex. In our case, this is more interesting for Systemd Convex because we are currently using an overlay mount for etc to kind of provide the OS default config files as an underlay, you can say, lower tier in terms of overlay FS. And that way we can kind of update them. And when users have customizations, these customizations would stick. And you can easily kind of diff against the defaults of the OS. And yeah, so because we have this custom mount point, users can't use convex, and we want, of course, people to use Systemd convex, and that's why we need this mutable mount point and not only a read-only mount point, which the default behavior is, so that people can still kind of interact with the system, write files to etc, and so on. And yeah, for general purpose distros, of course, this is much more interesting because when you have your regular Debian or Fedora system, then you need a package manager to write to /usr. And yeah, then when you load the SysX, normally this would be read-only, but with this mutability mode, you can kind of forward the writes to the original directory, but still kind of overlay all the system extensions under /usr. And that way we can make Systemd SysX available to people that use traditional Linux distro. Yeah, I mean, that's maybe the short summary.
Nice. I mean, experimental, and this is first going to alpha, right? And alpha is for developers. So in the experimental section or the lab section of this, what you could also do is you could make you could direct the writes going to /usr into a separate directory. And that will be transparent as long as the SysX are mounted, are merged, and you have this mutable mode of SysX. So you could capture writes on Flatcar that would hit USR, and redirect them to a part of the file system that's actually writable, and that way USR would appear to be writable. And then if you unmerge, you would have all your changes in that directory where you capture all the writes. And you can do whatever you want with it. You could even build your own sysex from that, and then have a custom sysex in the stack in the future. So I think there's a lot of room for experiment this new feature will add, and I'm very excited to eventually have it in the distro. We like a few hours ago, we weren't sure if it was the current alpha or the next alpha, because we weren't sure if the systemd 255 tests are all green, but Cyan has all of the updates about that.
Thank you, Theodore. Am I audible? My mic was not working properly before. I am. Cool. So I'll share my screen. Okay, so just before going on to the current release, I would like to share the updates from the last one. So we have almost completed the last one. As I mentioned, there's some hiccups in the last release on the Azure publishing side, primarily around LTS, and the issue remains, but we have got some feedback from the support team, and we know the path forward. So hoping to get this issue closed within the next 1 or 2 days. Due to this, all the other offers were also blocked, but then I basically isolated LTS with the other ones and then did a separate publishing. So other offers are live now. But yeah, LTS is still not live, and I should be completing the release for the LTS in the next few days. On the current release, as mentioned, for the systemd, so we were planning to do a trigger of alpha release, alpha, beta, and stable release this week, with alpha and beta being the major one, and the stable being the maintenance one. But we also have an amazing set of features coming into systemd 255 along with the mutability patch. So we thought of, and give thanks to Adrian's work, we have a bunch of work that he did, and it's almost towards the last finishing bits. So we pushed the release a week later, and we are on the final grounds of doing the testing. Kai triggered off a test just a few hours back, and we are looking on how the systemd 255 upgrade looks. Once everything looks green, we will trigger off the builds. Hopefully, this in next 1 or 2 days, that is like Friday or Thursday, and then and we would do a release next week starting. So yeah, that's from the release side, and the team, as usual, has been working on few items. Like sysex has been one of the top items that team has been working on, and the cluster API work has also taken some progress. We did a good demonstration on the cluster API Azure front, and next is like the cluster API Azure and the vSphere and the vSphere and the AWS providers that we're working on. And other than that, we are also, I'll quickly move to the release screen. So we are tackling a bunch of package updates from the security front as well. Thanks to Docs for that. And and Krejimir has been handling timely the weekly package updates. Almost every week we have been merging the weekly updates from that week. So yeah, that's mostly it. If things goes all well, we will have a new release by starting of next week. Yeah, that's it. Anything else that folks would like to add?
Yes, it's maybe worth to mention that the next alpha will have the first scaleway images for
Correct.
scaleway provider.
Correct. So yeah, Matthew worked recently added the support for the scale provider, so that would be also be coming in into the next alpha release. Thanks, Matthew. Anything else?
Amazing. Really looking forward to the KubeCon release. I love the alpha stuff and probably play along with the new play around with the new alpha a bit during the quiet hours. And then yeah, great work. All right, folks. Ready to shut down the call. Anything else you folks want to bubble up or chat about? Thank you for joining. Great having you. Amazing to work with you. And maybe see you in a DevSync in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.